Do you ever feel tired? You're constantly struggling with your weight and you're kind of blaming low testosterone because of your low energy? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how one of my clients, Ellsworth, lost 30 pounds in 3 months and he's in the best shape of his life without using stuff like TRT. I mean, this guy was going through a massive divorce. I think that the fitness industry right now is making things a lot more difficult than it really is. My goal today is to really give you 3 steps of how you can get in the best shape of your life as long as you're over 30 years old and you want to get in the best shape of your life and you have a little bit of time. You should watch until the end because I'm going to tell you exactly how working at the UFC, how fighters were able to use this system to cut weight and get in the best shape of their life, and now how I implemented what I've learned at the UFC into normal people. So who am I? I'm Dr. Dex, you former official UFC physical therapist, and I've worked with thousands of high performers and athletes to this point. Now, my primary focus is really just helping normal people become higher performing athletes or just higher performing people in general through fitness, exercise, nutrition, and all things related to sports science. So there were basically 3 things that Ellsworth did to really get in the best shape of his life. The first thing we did was understood his caloric maintenance. If you don't know what that is, you can use calculators online, but they're not super accurate. If you really want a framework though, all you need to do is use your body weight in pounds, multiply this by 13 if you're sedentary, or 15 if you exercise 3 times a week, or if you're really, really active, multiply it by 18. So I'll give you an example. So I'm 185 pounds. I train 5 times a week. So I'm going to multiply 185 times 18. That means my maintenance calorie is 3330. If I eat 3,330, I'm not going to gain weight. I'm not going to lose weight. Now, why is this important? Like, why do I need to do math, right? I thought that was over in grade 10. Well, here's how important that is, and this is how I found out. Before, when I was 18 years old, I thought the only way of losing weight was by cutting out carbs. You know, I just looked on bodybuilding.com and I did keto and all that stuff, and guess what? I got super shredded, right? And it actually worked, and I was super surprised. I was like, whoa, I can't believe this stuff actually works. But honestly, I just couldn't sustain it. When I was younger, I can get away with a ton of stuff. All right, why? Because I'm super active. I was playing soccer at the time. I didn't have a job. I wasn't going through all this stress in real life. I'm just playing. Most of the time it's because you're just not actually working out all that much now when you're older. So why does this matter? I'm gonna tell you why keto works, or any diet in particular works. It's because it puts you in a caloric deficit. Now, when you're in a caloric deficit, it doesn't matter if you cut out your carbs, you cut out your fats, you cut out your protein, right? And you're left only with alcohol. As long as you're below the 3,330, which is for me, the maintenance calorie, you're gonna be below that. You're gonna be in a calorie deficit. So let's just say, give you another example, that you're pretty sedentary. Maybe your caloric intake is going to be around 1,500 calories. So let's just say we found out that your resting metabolic rate is around 2,500 calories. Now, a very appropriate caloric deficit would be minus 500 or even minus 300. So let's just say you're going a bit more aggressive. You're eating 2,000 calories now. Now, if you're going to follow this plan, essentially you're going to aim to lose a pound a week, something like that, which is great. Like, that's a very sustainable, consistent way of doing that. There's a bunch of different ways in order for you to be in a calorie deficit. But the most important way is the one that is consistent with your lifestyle, the one that will actually work with you long term. Because if it worked for you short term, but you're no longer doing that, it means it doesn't actually work for you. And if you want to do something, you need to ask yourself, can I do this thing for like 10 plus years? Because if you can't do this for like 10 plus years, it's going to be really, really hard for you to stick with this. So I'm going to tell you a story. Basically, I became super obsessive with cutting out my carbs. And it really became an issue when I was like 19 years old. I just cared so much about looking a certain way so I can pick up girls. So I just cut out carbs for weeks, right? Only to like crave it like mad. I remember just like sneaking out, getting like bubble tea and stuff. There was this one time I went to a buffet because we live in Vancouver. We had to drive over to Seattle. There's like this casino area. And we would go there and we just like chow down on buffet. There would be one day a week. I would just like, oh man, it's like The Rock. I'm gonna have massive cheat meals, right? And then when I do that, guess what? I end up feeling really, really sick. And I just ate so much ice cream. There's one time I ate so much ice cream. And essentially what happened was I literally puked it out. And a part of me was like glad. You know, I was glad and relieved that I was able to puke out ice cream because there's no calories in that. And since that day, I realized I had a problem. I had an issue. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is way too obsessive. That was again when I was like 18 years old. Obviously, I'm much older now. Fast forward to now. Being in a calorie deficit is absolute king, but not at the expense of giving up basically your sanity. Right. And when I was working at the UFC, every single fighter that came into the facility actually got, if you're on the roster, you got free everything. You got free food, you got free baseline testing, you got nutrition analysis, you get like nutrition analytics, you get sports science, recovery, you get everything, you know? And so basically around like the basal metabolic rate stuff, what's gonna happen is you come in and they get you laying down on this machine, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna breathe into the machine, right? You just breathe into it. And when you breathe into it, it tells you like how much on roughly what your resting metabolic rate is. And so when I got tested when I was like maybe 27, something like that, they said that my resting metabolic rate was around 2,500 calories. So that means if I'm just being alive, I'm just breathing, my organs, my function, if I want to just like not do anything, just lay in bed, I burn 2,500 calories just from being alive, right? So to give you some context, I'm 5'10" and a half. And I'm 185 pounds. At the time, it was pretty similar to. So my resting metabolic rate was around 2,500 calories. I did not have to do anything to get there, right? I just had to be alive. I just had to breathe, right? Now, if you start to add components of that, like you start to build a bit more muscle, you start to work out a bit more, you start to, walk, you start to do more active things, that caloric intake, the expenditure is gonna be a lot higher. So if you're expending a lot more calories just from like doing life, right? That makes it a lot easier for you to be in a calorie deficit if you want to stay lean. So going back to the point here, like why does it matter that we calculate maintenance, right? The reason why is because we can calculate how much calories you need to burn to just be alive. And from here, it's really just math, right? You want to get an athlete into caloric deficit. You want to monitor their hunger levels. You want to make it super simple to implement. You want to make sure there's a lifestyle change so that in addition to actually making sure that they're following meal plans or nutrition plan or framework, that they're taking their steps, they're being active, they're doing stuff, right? They're parking further away, right? On top of that, when you actually have a restaurant and you tell them that's the type of foods, that's going to be okay for them, you make it really, really easy for them to actually follow the plan. So making things super easy and for people to follow was literally how people are able to stick to the thing, right? And something I've noticed is that when these athletes were training and in camp, sometimes they were training like 2-3 times a day. It's insane. It's quite a bit, right? So one huge caveat is like, how do you manage your energy level? Well, the type of foods that you put into your body is huge. Also, like the amount of food. So if you're in a huge calorie deficit, like that's going to destroy your energy levels. So going back to like finding your maintenance, like as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. But like how you get there is really, really important. What are the type of foods that go into your body? Like, do you feel hungry? Do you feel grumpy? Like, yeah, like you could just probably go on like a fast and like lose a ton of weight short term. But like, first off, like you're not going to feel good potentially. At least I know that for me, I won't feel good. If I went through a whole day, or like some people go through 7-day fast, can't even believe that. You don't eat for like 7 days. All I would think about is food. I probably wouldn't even get any work done because I'm just thinking about food all the time. Anyways, the reason why I bring up like why it's important to manage your energy, manage your recovery, understand, make things easy for clients, make things very simple, give them frameworks when they go to a restaurant, is because this is the exact same process that we give to our current clients. And if you can create a very simple, easy to follow framework that allows your clients to get phenomenal results where they can stay consistent without killing themselves, that's like the goal. That's having a really good structured plan. That's understanding their lifestyle, their goals, like what they want to give up. Because if you want to be in a calorie deficit, you need to give something up. You're going to be a little bit hungry, right? So the type of foods that you put into your body that actually makes you feel really, really full is super important. So the next thing, number 2 thing that we did for Ellsworth to get him in the best shape of his life, we need him to eat protein. And here's the thing right now. In the fitness industry, people are saying you need to have a super high protein diet. It's like, 1.2 grams per protein of body weight or something like that. There's a limit to the amount of protein that you can eat. What the literature actually supports is eating 0.8 grams is literally all you need to have per pound of body weight. Why 0.8? Well, if you look at the literature, there's an upper echelon of the protein you need for your body. Any more and it literally becomes useless, right? You might feel fuller a bit longer, but it becomes very unpractical. You just have so much protein, you start to be super gassy. So like, how much protein is too much if you want to lose weight? That's a trick question because the most important thing that comes to weight loss is being in a calorie deficit. So right now, because of the overemphasis of protein in social media, the main thing that you need to do is be in a calorie deficit. Having high protein will literally do a lot of things for that process. I'm not saying don't have protein. It's just like when people are saying you need to have this much protein, like so much protein that you like, you feel like really, really gross and stuff. It's like, you don't really need to do that if you want to lose a bit of weight. You just need to be in a caloric deficit. You need to have the type of food that work best for you. You need to have a lifestyle goal. You need to stay active. You need to make sure this process is sustainable. It works for your lifestyle. And protein will help you stay fuller. Protein will help you recover, right? And if you're able to recover and do the thing for a long period of time, like that's excellent. You get less risk of injuries. You stay consistent on the process. And more importantly, like the protein is gonna make you feel full, right? So you can do this thing for a long period of time. So if you're interested in a sample meal plan, it's actually one of the ones that Ellsworth did for the first little bit. Click the link below. It's completely free. It's helped hundreds of my clients already lose potentially like 10 pounds in like a month already. As long as you're in a calorie deficit. So if you want that, it's totally free. It's just in the bio. It's all yours. And my goal is to just help other people stay active and healthier. So what was one of my big mistakes? Okay, so when I first started working out, I shit you not, I thought I had to have like 4 to 5 protein shakes a day, right? That is too much protein. You know how gassy I was? Like I couldn't go anywhere without just like letting one rip. Not only did I hate it, it was super, super uncomfortable. I was just like literally forcing it down and it was completely unnecessary. And the reason why this happened is because I went on like this forum, bodybuilding.com, and this meathead was like, you should do this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try it. And the third thing that really helped Ellsworth and a ton of my other clients is we just did a ton of unintentional exercise. What's unintentional exercise? It just means that you're walking, you're staying active throughout the day. Now, most of the calories that you burn is just from you breathing for the most part. But let's just say we can get an extra 1,000 calories burned throughout the day. So like, how do we do that? Well, this is what I do. And this is what I encourage for my clients, right? I encourage myself to walk at least 10,000 steps a day. Why? Because the more you walk, the faster you walk, the longer you live. Like that's very, very strong in evidence and literature that if you were to just walk further and then faster, you're gonna live a lot longer than the person who doesn't do that. And the reason why is simply because you become more frail, right? When you're a lot older, what's like the one thing that's gonna really help you reduce likelihood of death? It's literally muscle mass, like sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is basically age-related breakdown of your muscle tissue. So when you're able to walk for a long period of time and able to do it for a long period of time, like it just means that you have a lot more muscle mass, you have higher capacity, the less risk for a fall. And the reason why we really push for this now is you want to instill this habit early on so that when you do hit like 70 years old, you're still walking all the time. You're not just like, oh, I'm getting really tired, I'm gonna have a stroller. And the longer you can prolong the stroller and all that, sorry, not stroller. Why I say stroller? Ah, man, I can't believe I blanked out on this. It's a walker, a walker. So you're pushing your walker. It requires extra stability. And because it requires extra stability, it means that your muscles are going to be used less. And we don't want that. We wanted to make sure that your muscles are able to work as much as they possibly can, keeps you stronger, keeps you healthier, keeps your capacity very, very high. And if your capacity is very, very high, that's awesome. That's exactly what you wanted to do because that's the thing that's gonna make you live for a long period of time. So unintentional exercises, how else can you actually get this in your life? So one of the biggest hacks is when you go to Costco or when you go shopping or whatever it is in the mall, park super far away. I think the easiest thing you could possibly do, and there's way less stress associated with that, is as soon as you pull into the parking lot, just freaking park. Like you don't have to get close to the entrance, just park there. And then from there, you just walk in. You're gonna literally be able to burn a little bit more and so forth. The second thing that you can do is take the stairs. Like, I don't know about you, but when you go to the airport, like how often are you actually using the stairs or are you just gonna use the escalator? Use the stairs as much as you possibly can. The third thing is, what's your commute looking like? When you go to the gym, are you walking? Are you training? Are you driving over there? You're literally going to the gym. There's going to be a period of time where you need to warm up. So might as well just walk to the gym if you can. And this is the final hack. When you are training during your rest period, okay? Super sick. Walk around. Literally just walk around, right? So let's just say you finish set of squats. The next thing you can possibly do is you're probably going to wait for like a minute anyways. So might as well just walk around, socialize a little bit, say hi to people, you know, ask how their day is and go from there. So that's basically it. 3 things that Ellsworth did to get in the best shape of his life. And if you want to see exactly what he did for the first 4 weeks, exactly what he ate, all you have to do is go into the little box downstairs in the little YouTube section, click that little meal plan, and it's all yours for free. Don't think I forgot about the bonus tip. So, dude, if you're completely strapped for time, one of the best things that you could possibly do is train intentionally. So what does this mean? Well, it means you know exactly what you're going to be doing at the gym. You have structure. And the best athletes in the world know exactly what they're going to do in the gym. Do you think Conor McGregor does some sort of general bodybuilding routine, or LeBron does? There's structure, and it's completely tailored towards their goal. And if your goal is to build muscle and train effectively, here's what you need to know. In order to create a super systematic structure, it needs to be individualized. So what we did for Ellsworth is we trained his smaller gas tanks. That means we actually assessed him, right? We put him through a movement screen. We understand his really strong muscles and his not so strong muscles. From here, we created a program that specifically trains his not so strong muscles, which are kind of like these smaller gas tanks, right? So when you train these smaller gas tanks, you train them up, give them more resources, they start to grow. These small gas tanks turn into really big gas tanks. So when they become bigger gas tanks, what do you think happens to your energy levels? What happens to your capacity? It goes up, right? And if you build up your capacity, you have more resources, you have more fuel requirement. What do you think happens to the energy requirement of your body? You require more energy to burn at rest. If you require more energy to burn at rest, what do you think happens to your resting metabolic rate? As your resting metabolic rate increases, you require more fuel requirement. You simply just require more demand because you have more muscle, right? You require way more energy, right? So if you think about like bodybuilders, there's a reason why they eat so much, right? They eat so much because they have so much more muscle mass. If they have so much more muscle mass, right? Not everyone has time to like go train for like 3-4 hours a day. So that's why we create a very intentional program for like very busy people, where we tell them these are the muscles you need to train in addition to the muscles that they actually need to train. Such as if you want to improve like your abs, you want to get abs the first time, or if you want to get tone, you want to increase kind of like your leg size, your chest size, your shoulder size. It needs to be done in conjunction. And we're actually able to train intentionally. You know exactly what you're going to do every time you go to the gym. It becomes very efficient. And if you become very efficient in the process, that means you're basically going to expedite your process. You're going to get a lot more results, a lot more gains, and there's going to be a lot less guesswork. So that's the bonus tip. We create a very custom, individualized approach for our athletes, our individual clients, our high performers, so that instead of just training for like potentially 5 hours and like not getting the results that you've been wanting because you've been training for a long period of time, just training the same muscles, we tell you which muscles to actually train to get the best effect, the best bang for buck for your busy schedule. So that's kind of like our secret here, guys. Thanks so much for watching.